Welcome to the PDX files. Each week we dive into the weird and the unexplained here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Peej.
And I'm Mac.
And Mac, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're kind of going to go into a bit of a thought experiment as to what might happen if disclosure from the government happened. And this is a channel that I like a lot. It's called Infographics. It delves into a lot of experiments from like it's like cartoon. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. You're going to be able to see it, but it really goes into, kind of a 30,000, 25,000 foot view of what might happen. But it's really compelling.
Right on. So I have not seen this video at all. My responses will be authentic. And here we go.
A mysterious object moving through space. Astronomers at the Haleakala Observatory in Hawaii spy it entering our solar system, and they soon
And this is
realize
true. This actually
very
happened.
odd. It's not a comet or a meteor because those travel through space in a direct line. This strange object is tumbling through space and moving so fast that it couldn't have originated from our solar system. What is it? What brought it to our neck of space? And most importantly, why is it here? Astronomers were puzzled, but before they could get their answers, it was gone. The
I think we've talked about it Mumama
left our solar system as quickly as it came, sailing past the sun into quarters unknown. Scientists now believe Oumuamua was a cigar-shaped interstellar rock, but its presence in our solar system caused no small stir among scientists. But what would happen if life from another galaxy entered our solar system? This has been the subject of fiction for over a century, from intelligent aliens who come in peace, evil green men who come with laser guns, and even hungry aliens looking for the best way to serve man. We've been thinking about first contact for a long time, but the government has been making plans for the possibility just as long, and they want to make sure we make a good first impression. In 1977, the two Voyager spacecraft launched by NASA each contained a golden phonograph record holding the sounds and images of life on Earth. These unmanned spacecraft are heading into unknown space, including within 2 years' light speed distance from the star Gliese 445, where many planets exist. If an advanced civilization with the capacity to play the record finds it, they'll find a mix of natural sounds, including animal calls and the sound of wind and waves. They'll see music and greetings in 59 languages and messages from the U.S. President and UN Secretary General at the time. NASA hopes this will let the aliens know what humanity has to offer and either lead them to contact us or to preserve a record of our civilization. After all, the Voyager 1 probe is expected to reach Gliese 445 in about 40,000 years. But what if aliens find our planet first? Does the government have a plan for if they confirm aliens exist? As always with our government, the answer is maybe.
I don't think they do. I mean, I don't think the government does have any plan if that actually happens. And that's kind of the overriding kind of concern and fear that I have is like, how are we going to react? Are we going to be stupid and like try to attack them? An alien race trying to just reach out to us. Yeah, I think we probably would. I mean, you get a bunch of morons like, I don't want to get into political stuff for certainly, but certain areas of the government, previous and even now, would probably react in a certain way that is just like, hey, and you can almost kind of anticipate that a little bit. It's like we got to protect our people, but you know, they can just take us out, couldn't they? I mean, I don't know, but um, it's difficult to see what might happen. What might be? It sort of depends on who gets the information first. Is it the scientists? Is it the military? Who gets that first, right?
Yeah, we've seen variations of those discoveries play out in movies over the years, right? Where it's a scientist. I think in Independence Day, wasn't it Jeff Goldblum's character that saw
Yeah.
the atom?
Cable repairman, but he went to Harvard, or
Yeah,
no, he went to no, it wasn't Harvard. It was what's the scientific one that's like the
MIT.
MIT? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
But here, so to answer your question from earlier, I don't know if you actually posed it as a question or you just made a comment. I do believe that the U.S. government does have a plan and
Mm,
that they keep updating it on a regular. I mean, it's like any, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna equate this to a business. You got a business continuity plan. When something
right.
happens, and when these scenarios play out, this is what the business will do in order to keep in business. So I would think that they would have that the U.S. government, who's been so involved, at least to our knowledge, in all of this UFO stuff for decades, and maybe even 100 plus years, would be also planning for first contact. And I would also think that other governments from from other countries are doing their own versions of it as well, because what if they are the ones that are first contacted? That there's and who's to say that they're not all talking, the governments rather, about the possibility of first contact and what the community of governments will do if and when that happens.
Well, but you kind of almost kind of a little bit prove kind of what I was saying is like I think there's so many different viewpoints on it from different governments, and obviously different political factions own the different governments of those countries as time goes on. So how do we really know that there's some sort of unified plan
I,
to how to deal with it?
well,
Disclosure, you know.
I would think that here's the thing. There's again, there's so many of these, first contact, alien attack, alien, friendly aliens versus non-friendly aliens played out in books and comic books and TV shows and movies that all are truly thought experiments of what could happen if and when the government is not prepared. So why wouldn't a government that plans for everything else, or we assume they plan for everything else, why wouldn't they plan for that?
I mean, I think they probably would, but I guess my point is that is like in the democratic world anyway,
Yeah.
where we pretended that it exists, they're all going to have kind of a different viewpoint of that. So, like George W. Bush versus Bill Clinton versus Obama versus Trump, like what is their plan of how to deal with that? They're all looking at these things as they comes in. We're assuming again, this is kind of a thought experiment as well, that they know that there's other life out there. How much does that change over
Mm,
time,
yeah.
and how much does the leader who's in charge of it like alter that plan?
Yeah. That's
And you
that's a,
sort of have to wonder about that.
that's a fair point. Fair point. Okie doke. Let's continue here.
Private astronomy firms staff a small group of scientists working in the controversial field known as SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Life. Their goal is to monitor radio telescopes for unusual broadcasts that could be a sign of alien contact. But the problem is, no one knows what form an alien broadcast would take. It could be an alien species that's intelligent enough to have studied our planet and is communicating in a language we'll understand, but it's far more likely that an alien species would know little about our planet and would be communicating in a language we'd have no way to translate, if they even have something comparable to language. In the 1990s, scientists developed new protocols for SETI scientists that indicated they could share any findings with scientists from other countries. This was the tail end of the Cold War, when it was unlikely the United States and Soviet Union would share anything with each other. Relations have warmed, slightly, but no national government has shown much interest in funding SETI research, and the scientists work independently. In 1997, scientists picked up a false alarm signal that looked like a possible contact from aliens. The government didn't contact them, and no one came to drag the scientists off to Area 51. Who did call? Journalists from the New York Times. The government may not be interested in contact with other aliens, but the press sure is. So, what would the government do if they actually did confirm aliens exist?
Yeah, I think that kind of what they're talking about there is actually a little bit contrary, because actually the way the media has done it over the last 100 years, well, not 100 years, but like 75 years or more, is like they don't push the idea so much of they're more likely to go on the side of like stigmatizing the likelihood of or like putting it on the fringe science. It's not a mainstream topic still, even today, even after 2017, we had the New York Times article come out, and there's some of that. The people involved in that have kind of caused, like Lou Elizondo, I have to look it up. Is not exactly the most like credible person anymore, but I think there also are a lot of credible people who are in government who are trying to do the very best that they can. But the problem is, you run up into if you look back, was when they had the radio broadcast of the alien invasion of the U.S. and how influential that really was. When people found out that it was fake.
Yeah. War of
You
the
know
World.
what I'm saying? The War of the Worlds broadcast. Yeah, I mean, I think that did so much damage to the topic. Like, people don't even understand like how much damage it did to the topic, because people are just like, oh yeah, it's bullshit. That's their ultimate reaction at the very beginning.
It's definitely an interesting dilemma, right? Because in as much as we've as a society gotten smarter about so many things, we've also gotten kind of jaded about so many things, right?
Jaded is the right way to put it. Yeah, it isn't dumber. It's just jaded.
It's
And I,
not dumb.
I
Yeah, it's not dumber. It's just jaded. It's like what would I spend my limited brain power focusing on? Is it the sensationalized, often ridiculed pseudoscience of the paranormal, or in this case, UFO and aliens? I mean, we already see a dichotomy of that with the other podcast that you and I run with another buddy of ours, where he's a staunch, it seems like he's a staunch non-believer in aliens and UFOs and whatnot. Um so I mean, in this,
yeah,
two out of one, two out of three believe in UFOs.
well, I mean, I think it kind of becomes like, at least for my perspective, like if I could be proven one way or the other, I'll like with irrefutable proof, I will go with that, right? Like that's what is there. But you can't get that either way. And I think there's so much doubt on either side. I
Yeah.
think that the thing that annoys me is when, and again, I mentioned many times before on the show, the swamp gas theory, that like the stupidest thing that you can like attribute it to, that just, it's like, come on. Any comments, any like even 100 level IQ can tell this is stupid kind of stuff. It's like, this is what you're trying to sell us, and it's because of why, what is the reason for that? I mean, obviously we're going to get into more of
Yeah.
that here with a little bit, but yeah, we've been talking a bit, but it's yeah, anyway.
Yeah, maybe let's let this play out, and then
Let's do it.
Here
Briefly did fund a program called Project Cyclops in 1971 to coordinate thousands of radio telescopes to scan the cosmos for messages, but it was shelved due to costs, and government efforts have been modest since. It's very likely that any discovery of actual contact with another civilization
This is the guy from the Ghostbusters.
classified. Our research into extrasolar planets in systems and galaxies beyond our own has discovered many planets that could be habitable, but no conclusive proof has been found. However, SETI scientists and related METI specialists focusing on messaging are concentrating their efforts on those planets. How the government would react to contact with alien life forms depends heavily on the type of life form. The majority of human space research right now is concentrated on Mars, where we've sent multiple unmanned rovers, like the long-lived NASA Curiosity, to take samples of the soil. There's ample evidence that there was once water and an atmosphere on Mars, making it possible that there was life there before the cosmic upheaval that stripped away the cocktail for life from the planet. Finding evidence of that, like fossils, would give us our first glimpse of extraterrestrial life. But let's go further. What if there was something still there, something small, that had survived the cataclysm? Many species on Earth, like the horseshoe crab, have survived for hundreds of millions of years, and multiple...
That's right.
So let's say we found a unique arthropod on Mars, the Martian crab, burrowing creatures living under the surface. How would the government respond to this discovery?
That's actually the most likely outcome of anything like that, if you sort of think about it, and probably the most difficult for the government to react to, because it's like, okay, it exists on Earth, right? Number one, we have found evidence of water on Mars. Oh, and by the way, we found a species who's been able to not necessarily like live, but like they've been hibernating for all these millions of years until something comes back.
Mhm.
I don't see how you could. I mean, I can see how you could screw that up, but I don't see how the Jesus freaks can do it. I mean, I don't understand how you'd be able to. There's like no evidence in the Bible for that, right? So what sort of dichotomy would come out of that, right? Like what would they think, even if just they found not fossils, but an actual kind of like a semi-living being on Mars? I think it would fuck their shit up. They would fuck it up. It'd be fantastic, but also dangerous.
Yeah, and actually, you just mentioned something that I hadn't even thought about. Would be the religious people who believe in the creation story, and aliens have no space in that creation story whatsoever.
Yep.
Ah, interesting. All right, let's play this out more.
Because it's a non-sapient form of life, the main priority would be safe study. Our unmanned explorers would take a sample and transmit as much information as possible back to Earth. A program is under development to send an unmanned drone to Mars to pick up samples of Martian soil that would return by 2032. But getting a live sample of a Martian creature back to Earth would be trickier and would probably involve a manned mission to Mars, something that hasn't been attempted by any nation yet. Even if possible, it would involve major risks. We don't know what organisms would be using a Martian creature as a host, meaning the arrival of a sample on Earth would carry the risk of bringing a deadly pathogen back with it. If the US government discovered alien life on a nearby planet, we're likely to leave it there for safety reasons. But what if alien
I
life
think
comes
so,
looking
yeah.
for us? Does the government have a plan? If they do, it's so highly classified that none of us know about it. If an intelligent alien species found our planet and wanted to make contact with us, they're likely to be so advanced that they would be setting the terms of the introduction, and we'd be waiting to find out if they were friendly or hostile. So, how would humanity react to first contact with aliens? If history is any indication, probably panic. One of the most famous close encounters happened in Flatwoods, West Virginia in 1952. Two brothers saw an unknown object fall from the sky and land on a local farmer's property.
I haven't seen this one before, by the
There's
way.
two random children and a local National Guardsman and went to investigate. They claimed to have seen a very tall man-like figure with a round red face and odd hood-shaped head. They ran for the authorities, said they had seen a monster, and tried to get the police to chase the alien down. Was it an alien, or was it an owl sitting on top of a tree? The Flatwoods monster was never seen again, but let's hope that if we have
Depends on the moonshine.
there's a more organized response.
I mean, that's really fascinating. I was just thinking about, okay, so we just talked about maybe having like a still living creature on Mars, but what if they just found some organisms, right? They were so tiny that wouldn't you wouldn't think of it like as being a threat, but bringing it back to Earth could be like you could unleash like God knows what, right?
Well,
And
I mean,
then just
yeah.
thinking about people who just see shit, like I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, again, we it's a lot of these scenarios have played out in movies already. I mean, what was it? I think it was a I think it was the War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, where the aliens were not used to our bacteria, and so when they exited their spaceships, they started dying off, right? Because they weren't used to our bacteria.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
And
same,
there's like there was like the M Night Shyamalan where you throw some water on them and they
yeah, exactly. Like the
swing away.
aliens don't take baths apparently. So, but no, I mean, it's definitely an interesting approach because the scientists would probably be like, yes, let's bring it back to Earth, let's study it and whatnot, and see, and they're doing that already with moon rocks, right? So it's like,
Yeah,
who's to
yeah.
say that there's not any organisms on the moon that could wreak havoc here on Earth? Potentially. Uh, so
No, I mean, I mean, again, you just don't know. I mean, and nobody's ever come out and said, "Oh no, there's no danger for this whatsoever." There's always some type of a danger, and then maybe that's kind of the charm of the human race is that we go out and we take chances and we take risks and we put ourselves in danger. I don't want to bring back anything from another planet to our planet unless we know exactly. I mean, that's just maybe I'm just sort of risk averse, and I don't want to do anything like that. But I think you got to be careful with kind of what you ask for. I guess.
yeah, absolutely. It's the Ouija board for UFOs.
Indeed.
All right.
The SETI Permanent Committee of the International Academy of Astronautics developed a protocol plan for first contact, but will the government put it into effect? There are 8 steps. First, make sure that it's of intelligent origin before announcing it. Second, communicate this finding with all other nations who have agreed to this protocol. Third, inform the rest of the astronomical community. Fourth, the discovering party makes the public announcement. Fifth, the data is released to the scientific community. Sixth, any electromagnetic signals are shared with the relevant authority. Seventh, no one makes direct contact individually. Finally, the SETI Permanent Committee reviews these plans regularly to ensure their policies are up to date. This would be a logical and orderly approach to first contact, but would it work out that way? A friendly civilization might be here on a mission of exploration, scientific curiosity, or friendship, but a hostile civilization would probably not announce themselves with dialogue or signals. Could humanity win a war with an unknown alien power? Earth's superpowers have a lot of powerful weapons, but they're designed for combat on Earth. If an alien civilization from outside this galaxy had the ability to travel this far to make contact and attack us, it's likely they have weapons far stronger than ours and ships made of far more durable materials. We could fight, but the odds are that any war would be over very quickly and not in our favor. But how would humanity react to a friendly civilization? The biggest problem any alien civilization would have when making contact is getting through our security. Most superpowers have air defense systems that will detect any vessel entering their airspace and shoot it down if it doesn't identify itself and stop when commanded. If the air defense system can shoot down an alien vessel, it could put a very fast stop to first contact and send the aliens back home with word to not mess with the planet. The aliens' best bet to have a peaceful landing might be to land in Antarctica and make first contact with the penguins.
That's why I stopped there, because obviously this is the penguins, right? But
yeah.
But sort of thinking about that, do we want to know what's out there, right? Do we want to make that contact? It could be something that's not good. It could be nefarious. It could be something that wants to tamp out life around the galaxy, or it could be amazing. It could be something that wants to support us. But it seems like the first human instinct is to go to fear. And so if there is something that might be wants to help us, and we react in violence instead, which there's a lot of evidence to show that we have done that.
Oh yeah.
Not just to ourselves, but there's plenty of evidence to suggest that, the crash in aircrafts could be because they're very peaceful and they're not coming to us with like, "Hey, we're here, we're here to take all your shit. We're here to help you." But we have enough technology to kind of bring them down. Some of them, and maybe they're kind of surprised by it, rather than it's like we're like stronger than them. But I don't know. Man, I love this thought experiment that they're going through here.
Yeah, me too. And I really appreciate that the multi-step SETI protocol. Is that SETI protocol, or is it a government protocol? I couldn't remember now, but
It's SETI. It's SETI, yeah. And there's actually another organization called METI, which is a little bit different. And it's like there's something called like quantum tunneling, which we're going to get into in a different show. I promise. We're going to bring that up, which is like a way to, like, they're working on it even right now with the U.S. military to communicate with one another. But the only problem with the quantum tunneling is that you don't know where it goes. You have no control. You can't encrypt it. Anyway, we're getting into that in a different episode. But for right now, the thought experiment is fascinating, I think.
it is. And you were asking the question earlier. Is this something that we want to invite into our planet? And I guess the question is, which question is which question is stronger, has a stronger pull on humanity's curiosity, right? Is it, are we alone in the universe? Is that the question that's going to be stronger, which is why we keep sending out radio signals, and we keep, we have SETI and others who keep looking for evidence of life elsewhere, and maybe even trying to invite them to interact with us and whatnot. And then of course, then to your point, the other side of that coin is the what if they are not friendly at all? What if they just want to enslave us, etc.? I mean, it's definitely I don't know, it's definitely a 50-50 game always, right? But I don't know. I mean, I think either way, we'll get our question answered, right? Whether we're alone
Yeah.
or not.
I guess so. I mean, it may not be in our lifetime, and maybe it'll be something in the future. But I feel like the increasing amount of evidence, and I think a lot of people sort of don't understand that there's like a more increasing amount of evidence to suggest that we're being visited,
Yeah.
even more than before. People don't even understand that. And again, it's being tamped down so much. I don't want to say the mainstream media because that's ridiculous, but I mean, it is kind of the mainstream media. You have to look and for other resources and things that you got to go to. But you know, I'm hoping that they're like, hey, y'all, we want to get you up on our side of things, and we're gonna support you. I hope that's the right way to go, rather than just look at this as like a commodity or like a resource.
Well, we shall see. Let's go ahead and continue here. Bring this home.
But if aliens successfully made peaceful first contact with humanity, or the government confirmed
It kind of looks like Trump.
it caused total upheaval in almost every area of society. Have you ever gone shopping the day before a snowstorm? Imagine that,
Uh,
as everyone would be convinced that an alien invasion would be coming and they'd better stock up. The uncertainty of
in Portland, that's very real.
contact with Earth would make many people assume the worst was coming, and the question is whether the government would know enough to assure them otherwise, and if they would be willing to declassify the information. Religions would be instantly thrown into turmoil. How many faiths believe that God created humanity in his image? The presence of another highly intelligent species making contact with us would throw that concept into doubt and lead many to question their faith. Some would leave their faith seeking answers elsewhere. Others would believe more fiercely than ever, insisting that the presence of aliens was a test for the faithful, and it's likely that new faiths would spring up around our alien visitors. After all, powerful and strange beings descending from the sky to make contact with us calls some powerful visuals to mind for the faithful. Or maybe religion would go on business as usual. The Vatican, for instance, is itself a believer in extraterrestrial life and has even toyed with the question of if aliens would need evangelizing should contact finally be made. Politically, the confirmation of aliens would create major changes in governments around the world.
No.
Likely see closer cooperation between ally nations and even rivals, as they would want to present a united front to any alien civilization. After all, the fate of humanity's future interaction with the stars could depend on making a good first impression. But what about enemy nations, especially those in the middle of a war? Would it create a temporary truce, or would various parties try to play the aliens against the enemy? If the aliens were carrying advanced technology or weapons, it would be tempting for an ambitious nation to try to get their hands on it before anyone else. One field that would be booming in the aftermath of alien contact is legal scholars. Every law on Earth is meant to apply to humans and Earth-based animals. What rights would aliens have on Earth? Would they be considered visitors or invaders? If aliens made first contact radio waves, who owns the dispatches? And then there's the question of what the government chooses to share with us. Open government advocates would be fighting to release all details of what the feds knew about aliens before first contact. Will we finally know what's in Area 51? If alien technology arrived on Earth and the aliens were willing to share it with us, or we successfully shot down an unmanned alien probe, scientists everywhere would be pressed into service. Both the government and corporations would try to reverse engineer the technology, and if it was a technology that had use on Earth, the company that cracked the code here would be rolling in the money. Alien technology could be a market game changer like never seen before, which is why it's just as likely that the government immediately seizes it, nationalizes it, and classifies it. But no sector would be busier in the aftermath of first contact than the media. This would be the biggest story in human history. If the aliens are still a mystery because humanity is working out the details of first contact, every TV and movie studio would be scrambling to come up with their fictionalized version of the aliens. And if the aliens have made the race to get the first interview with them would be one of the biggest prizes imaginable for journalists. Once the aliens are known by humanity, they would become massive celebrities. Any first contact with aliens would be a massive culture shock for us, but it might be just as big a culture shock for the aliens.
I mean, all that actually makes a lot of sense when everything they said right there. It makes a lot of sense. So you're thinking about it from like a base human instinct. Now we can't necessarily attach that to the aliens. Like, do they really want to be celebrities walking among us? I mean, maybe they already are, but it's really interesting because I think that exactly all those things would happen. I think the biggest thing, the biggest wild card is still the religion card to me, because I mean, that's caused, millions and if not billions of deaths, probably more millions, well, maybe billions of deaths throughout human history of like this like devout thought that like we're the center of the universe kind of deal, and somebody else rolls up on us and like, there's not much we can do about it. How does that affect people? Does that, and again, I think they mentioned like countries who are already at war, like do they like stop that and
Yeah.
they join around with everybody else? Is there this like kind of the Independence Day, we all get together and we rally together, or is it more of like we're just looking out for ourselves?
I think it, I mean, obviously, again, there'd been so many movies and so many premises, and it's funny because I think this particular video touches on many of those scenarios, right? In
Yep.
terms of, I've seen, I think it was a TV show where aliens were already integrated in society, but they became still a second class citizen, and so there were legal issues, with
Oh
humanity
yeah,
dealing with the aliens.
yeah,
It was called Bright,
yeah.
maybe, but anyway, and then of course, the infamous uh scene in the movie Independence Day, the original Independence Day, where Jeff Goldblum's character uploads somehow a Microsoft DOS
Computer
MS-DOS
virus.
computer virus that brought the alien system down.
Yeah,
Sophisticated alien system is felled by a Microsoft bug. So
yeah.
it is interesting, and I think, like I said, and so yeah, this is a cool thought experiment because you and I will never know if the government is already preparing for this. I'm making the assumption that they are, again, from a government or whatever power continuity standpoint, right? They want to make sure that they've got a hold on the citizenry, and that the citizenry, if unleashed, does not bring down the government. I mean, it's like self-preservation type of thing might be kicking in there. I don't know. It's a really good thought experiment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that you're right about that, but there's been so many times in my own career where I've tried to talk about business continuity, and really smart people who I've dealt with, like they don't want to do it. So to me, I mean, honestly, they don't want to go through the process. They just want to sort of like check a box. So
Mm.
to me, I think it's more likely that we wouldn't know what the fuck we're doing if it actually did happen, unless it's fed to us by AI somehow, which probably has been already corrupted by the aliens anyway.
Well, I mean, it'll be just us informing ourselves, and we're not going to be able to think beyond the way we understand the world and the universe to be. So
Right.
we can say that, and I could also, I'm sort of like contradicting myself in my faith in the government at this point, but we could also say that the government is prepared, has a plan, but again, that's only concocted by the human brain, and so who knows what the efficacy of those efforts are, right? So
Indeed. Indeed.
anyway, good. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this content, please give it a like and share it across your socials to help get the word out about our show. And if you hadn't already done so, please subscribe, and on YouTube, hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss out on future episodes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.